If you like taking down waves of enemies, beaten up games on PS5 are exactly what you need. The genre has been revitalized on this platform, offering the kind of arcade-style fun that keeps you hooked for hours. There's something incredibly satisfying about putting together combos and watching your character attack enemies. Plus, the PS5's hardware ensures that every punch, kick, and special move is impactful, making these games the perfect choice for you. Streets of Rage 4 is a fantastic revival of the classic beat-em-up series, bringing the retro vibe with modern touches. The hand-drawn art style is gorgeous, and the smooth, combo-heavy combat is satisfying whether you're solo or playing co-op. What really sets it apart is its respect for the originals while introducing new characters and mechanics to keep things fresh. The soundtrack is also top-notch, blending nostalgic tunes with new tracks that fit perfectly with the chaotic street battles. You can feel the weight of every punch and kick as you fight your way through waves of enemies. With unlockable characters and different modes, there's plenty of replay value here. If you love the old-school Streets of Rage games, this is a must-play on PS5. River City Girls takes the classic Kunio-kun formula and gives it a fresh, vibrant twist with two badass female protagonists. The game has a colorful, anime-inspired art style and a story full of humor and personality, which makes the journey as fun as the combat. You brawl through different city streets, upgrading your characters and unlocking moves as you go. The RPG elements like leveling up and buying new gear add depth to the typical beaten-up formula. Co-op is where this game really shines, allowing you to team up with a friend and wreak havoc together. With snappy controls and a catchy soundtrack, it's hard to put this game down once you get started. If you're looking for a beaten up with attitude and charm, River City Girls is the way to go. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is a love letter to the arcade games of the 90s, with modern flair that make it perfect for the PS5. The pixel art is stunning, and every character from the Turtles to April and Splinter feels distinct in combat. You can pull off some slick combos as you fight waves of classic TMNT enemies, from foot soldiers to bosses like Bebop and Rocksteady. It's got the fast-paced, chaotic energy you expect from a TMNT game, and with up to 6-player co-op, its absolute mayhem is the best way. Whether you're a fan of the old games or just love beat-em-ups, this one delivers fun, nostalgia, and a ton of replayability. It's like stepping into an arcade machine, but with the polish of a next-gen console. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, is back, and it's better than ever on PS5. With its quirky pixelated art style and chip-tuned soundtrack, this game oozes charm from the moment you start playing. It's got all the classic beat-em-up action mixed with RPG elements like leveling up your character and learning new moves as you progress. You can play solo or team up with friends in co-op to take down evil axes and hordes of enemies across various levels. The combat is simple but satisfying, and the game's humor keeps things light and fun throughout. If you missed it the first time around, this is the perfect chance to dive into one of the most beloved modern beat-em-ups. It's a wild ride filled with references, fast punches, and tons of heart. Castle Crashers Remastered is a chaotic and colorful beat-em-up that stands the test of time even on PS5. The cartoonish art style is timeless, and the remastered version sharpens everything up beautifully. You can hack, slash, and cast spells as one of several knights, each with their own unique abilities while leveling up and unlocking new powers along the way. What makes Castle Crashers so addictive is the blend of simple yet deep combat and RPG mechanics. There's also a hilarious and quirky sense of humor that adds to the fun, making it feel like a light-hearted adventure. Whether playing solo or with friends in local or online co-op, the game offers hours of replayability. If you haven't tried this one yet, you're missing out on one of the best multiplayer beat-em-ups out there. Fight and Rage is an indie gem that nails the retro beaten-up vibe while offering some fresh twists. The pixel art looks straight out of the 90s, but the gameplay feels incredibly modern and fluid. It's a fast, brutal, and packed with combos that feel great to pull off, especially when you're fighting through waves of enemies. Each character has their own moveset, adding variety to the combat, and the branching paths mean you can play through the game multiple times in different outcomes. Whether you go solo or co-op, the game's tight mechanics and relentless action make every fight a blast. The soundtrack also deserves a shout-out. It pumps you up for every battle. For anyone who loves classic beat-em-ups with a hardcore edge, Fight and Rage is a must-play. Mayhem Brawler brings comic book action to life with stylized visuals and fast-paced gameplay. The game looks and feels like you're playing through the pages of a gritty superhero comic with larger-than-life characters and explosive combat. What's cool is the dynamic decision-making system that lets you choose different paths, leading to multiple endings. Combat is fluid, and each character has their own unique set of moves and powers that make them fun to experiment with. It's a perfect game for co-op as you and your friends can smash through enemies and solve the mystery of the superpowered threats plaguing the city. The art style, combined with tight combat mechanics, makes this one stand out among the newer beat-em-ups. Mayhem Brawler brings both style and substance to the genre. The TakeOver is a modern throwback to the glory days of side-scrolling beat-em-ups like Streets of Rage. The game combines beautifully rendered 3D backgrounds with pixelated characters, creating a striking look that feels both classic and fresh. The combat is fast and impactful, with tons of combos and special moves that make you feel unstoppable as you fight through waves of enemies. What's cool is the variety of environments and the ability to switch between different characters, each with their own strengths. The soundtrack is another highlight, with a mix of hard-hitting beats that keep the energy up. Whether you're smashing buttons solo or teaming up with friends, the TakeOver offers a satisfying beaten-up experience that's easy to jump into but hard to put down. Final Vendetta brings back the raw, nonsense action of classic arcade beat-em-ups with modern polish. The pixel art is sharp and detailed, with environments that range from grimy streets to high-tech laboratories, and it nails the old-school vibe with its tough-as-nails gameplay. You've got to master the timing of your punches, kicks, and throws to survive the relentless waves of enemies. The game doesn't hold your hand, it's challenging, but in a way that makes every victory feel earned. It's got co-op, of course, which is where these kinds of games really shine. Whether you're reminiscing about the days of arcades or just love a tough brawler, Final Vendetta delivers hard-hitting action with a sense of style. It's all about skill, reflexes, and raw beat-em-up fun. Mother Russia Bleeds is not for the faint of heart. This ultra-violent beat-em-up takes place in a dystopian Soviet Union, and it cranks up the gore and brutality to the max. The game's pixel art is dark and gritty, perfectly matching the chaotic and often grotesque atmosphere. What makes it stand out is the inclusion of special abilities powered by a drug mechanic, giving you a unique twist on the usual health system. Double Dragon Gaiden Rise of the Dragons takes the beloved Double Dragon series and breathes new life into it with roguelike mechanics and a fresh art style. The game keeps the classic side-scrolling beaten-up feel but adds randomized levels and upgrades to make each playthrough unique. You can swap between multiple characters, each with their own movesets and special abilities, adding layers of strategy to the combat. What's great is that you never know what challenges or power-ups you encounter next, which keeps things exciting. It's also got local co-op, so you can tackle the game's brutal stages with a friend by your side. River City Girls 2 takes everything that made the first game great and cranks it up a notch. With new characters, bigger maps, and even more moves to master, the sequel doesn't disappoint. The hand-drawn animation looks amazing, and the game's humor is just as sharp as ever. You can now switch between characters on the fly during combat, opening up even more opportunities for slick combos and devastating special attacks. The open world structures give you a ton of freedom to explore, and with a more fleshed out storyline, it feels like an RPG in beaten up form. Sifu stands out from traditional beat-em ups by adding a unique twist to combat and progression. In this stylish martial arts themed game, every time you die your character ages, gaining experience but losing health, which forces you to master the intricate fighting system. It's all about precision and timing as you string together attacks, dodges, and parries in some of the most fluid combat ever seen in a beaten up. The environments are packed with interactive elements that you can use to your advantage in fights, adding an extra layer of strategy. Cannon Dancer Osman is a hidden gem that takes the arcade beaten-up formula and mixes it with a fast-paced platforming and unique visuals. The game's cyberpunk setting and eccentric characters make it a standout, while the fluid combat keeps you hooked as you slash through enemies with acrobatic moves. It has a unique vibe compared to other beat-em-ups, combining flashy attacks with smooth control that reward precision. The pace of the game is relentless, and it throws all sorts of crazy enemies and bosses at you, keeping things unpredictable. Asterix and Obelix Slap Them All 2 brings back the iconic duo for more cartoonish brawling action. The game stays true to the beloved comic book style with hand-drawn animations that look straight out of a page, making every punch and slap look extra satisfying. It's a light-hearted, fun beaten-up where you travel across various locations inspired by the Asterix universe, fighting Roman soldiers and other enemies. The gameplay is straightforward, with easy-to-learn combat mechanics, but it still managed to feel rewarding, especially when playing co-op with a friend. Jitsu Squad is a fast-paced, high-energy beaten-up that feels like a mashup of fighting games and classic brawlers. The game is filled with over-the-top characters and insane special moves that make every fight feel like a chaotic spectacle. The combat is fast and flashy, with combo chains and special abilities that keep you on your toes. Each character has their own distinct playstyle, and the game encourages you to experiment with different combinations to see what works best for you. Co-op play makes the chaos even more fun, as you and your friends unleash a whirlwind of punches, kicks, and energy blasts across the screen. Midnight Fight Express is all about brutal, fast-paced combat in a neon-drenched city. You take control of a former criminal who's being brought back into the underworld for one last mission, and the game does not hold back when it comes to action. The combat is raw and impactful, with a variety of weapons and hand-to-hand techniques that make every fight feel intense. The game's top-down perspective gives it a unique feel compared to most beaten-ups, and the level design keeps things fresh as you brawl through different environments. Shing is a sleek, modern beaten-up that mixes traditional side-scrolling combat with fast, skill-based gameplay. The game features a dynamic combat system where you control your attacks using the right stick, which makes for some fluid and satisfying combos. Set in a colorful, vibrant world filled with mythical creatures, the game blends humor and action seamlessly, allowing up to 4 players to team up and take on enemies together, with each character offering their own unique abilities and fighting style. Young Souls is an indie beaten-up that mixes beautiful 2D animation with RPG elements, giving it a unique blend of action and story. You play as 2 siblings, Jan and Tristan, who must fight their way through a mysterious underworld to save their guardian. The game's art style is stunning, and the fluid combat makes each encounter feel impactful. As you progress, you can upgrade your gear and abilities, adding a layer of strategy to the traditional beaten-up mechanics. River City Girl Zero is a throwback to the original Super Famicom title that started it all for the series, with a few modern enhancements. The game brings back the classic pixel art and retro vibe while introducing the beloved characters of Kyoko and Misako. It plays like an old-school beaten-up, with tough enemies, simple but effective combat, and a fun, quirky sense of humor. What's cool about this version is the added cutscenes and quality of life improvements that make the game more accessible without losing its old school charm. 9 Monkeys of Shaolin takes you on a martial arts journey inspired by the old kung fu movies, mixing traditional beat-em-up gameplay with deep, weapon-based combat. You play as a humble fisherman turned warrior, fighting your way through waves of enemies in beautifully crafted environments inspired by ancient China. The combat system is more intricate than most beat-em-ups, with different stances, weapons, and techniques that keep things interesting. As you progress, you unlock new skills and abilities, making your character more powerful and versatile in combat. So, did you like the games I recommend? So leave your like, subscribe to the channel to follow me, and activate the bell, because I post a lot of videos on this channel and you can't miss it. Thank you very much for following me this far, and until next time, bye!